Johnny Clutch with my guy Ty. If you're here for the live show, that is great. But if not, and you're watching this either tomorrow, next week, a month from now, whenever, that's fine as well. Either way, please hit that subscribe button. We're at 63 subscribers now. That's a big milestone for us. We basically built this from the ground up. Hopefully, get towards 100 subscribers by summer. Be huge. But without further ado, the Bills have a new head coach, Joe Brady. So
Oh, I think I lost you for a sec. We're frozen. Did you cut out? There you are.
there you go. Okay. So all right.
I heard you talk for a second and just froze.
Yeah, I don't know why it did that, but all right. So Joe Brady, new Bills head coach, wasn't someone that was really high on our list. I remember when we did our show, he was kind of lowly ranked. Um, how do you feel about it? What was your initial reactions to it?
I think just surprised. I guess, like looking at it now, I guess I can kind of quote unquote understand it in a way. Um, Not saying that I agreed with it, but I was definitely surprised because I thought the comments made in the press conference after Sean McDermott was fired about, we felt this team hit a playoff wall or has hit a playoff wall. To me, with that being said, I would have thought the last thing they would have done is hire somebody within the organization already. To me,
Mhm.
that kind of came off as like we want a fresh start.
Right.
So I think I was kind of more just surprised than anything. Like I'm not mad that he's our head coach. I'm not upset or anything like that. I think it was just more I was surprised that that's who we ended up choosing.
Yeah, I
But
think that surprise kind of got me at first too. I was really upset at it, not gonna lie, when it first happened. Slept on it. I'm a little bit more okay with it. I'm still not to the point to where I was like, wow, this is a slam dunk. This, you know what I mean? I like, but I guess it was gonna be like that no matter who you hired, at least with the guys they were interviewing. I didn't really feel anyone was really necessarily a slam dunk candidate. Um, there are some good things, I guess. You know what I mean. You keep some continuity with Josh. He's not learning a whole new offense this coming year. Um, I hope things open up a little bit in the passing game, like a lot of people want, and what I want as well. We've talked about hopefully he gets the receivers better involved. Maybe that's a talent question. I think it is as well. Um, but yeah, I was mostly pretty surprised. It's really gonna depend for me how the staff shapes up. Because if it's full of us just promoting guys and stuff like that, and you're just telling me the whole problem was Sean, sorry, I don't believe that for a second. So if Brady actually puts together a really good staff, and there's someone in particular I really, 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 really want,
mhm.
all is forgiven. So that's how
uh,
I view it.
yeah, I feel you. I think the more this has gone on, the more I've been, like I guess satisfied with the hire. Like you said, there's definitely going to be some good with Joe Brady being the new head coach because, like you said, we're not changing up the offense, and he's a familiar face around there, knows the guys and whatnot, and I think that like a guy like Keon Coleman, for example, I think he'll benefit for something like this.
Hmm.
It sounds like Josh Allen and Joe Brady have a lot of like confidence in him. Um, so I think that's a big step to where, like you said, maybe he can develop these guys, and who knows? I mean, there's times we love Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, right? Like these play calls he would call, we're like, holy cow, where'd that come from? And then there were some play calls where like that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe I don't know. I'm not saying maybe like his play calling ability was being held back. But I mean, I think now is the time where it's like, hey, like the play calling we see this year, this is going to be the real Joe Brady. Not saying it wasn't before, but it's like even if there was some type of bump along the road, you got no one holding you back now. Like you're the head coach, you're still calling the plays on offense. Like There can't be any excuses.
No, yeah, there's no, you know what I mean. No, McDermott's telling me to do this and stuff like that, or he's telling me to dial it back. So yeah, definitely. I would definitely say, you know, the microscope's on him in that aspect, and I really think the microscope is going to be on Bean more than ever because, you know, in the end, you know what I mean. This is your guy that you hired. You're, you know what I mean, fully in charge now. You really have to have a slam dunk this offseason. It's no more excuses of, you know what I mean, like Sean wasn't using. I'm not saying he said this, but no more excuses of like, yeah, Sean wasn't using the players that got in right or whatever. My roster's good enough. This was the guy you wanted. You know what I mean? You had a whole coaching search, interviewed 9 guys, you know, and you selected to go with Joe Brady. You
Right.
know what I mean? You better be right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, they had 9 guys that they, interviewed. It could have even been more if they waited.
Hmm.
Um, who knows? But like I said from the beginning, I think they had a plan all along. I think, now it shows. Brady, I feel like was just their guy all along. Um, maybe they wanted to, do some interviews and see like just and maybe there's someone that we don't think highly of right now. I mean, not saying this sounds kind of bad because if you're interviewing someone you think highly of them, but maybe like they end up blowing them out of the water, and you're just like, okay, well, we want this guy on our staff at least to do something.
Right.
Like to me, they could have maybe said to Brian Dable, like, hey, we know if you don't get this job, you're going to go take the OC spot in Tennessee. How about we at least offer you that if we don't hire you as the head coach? You
Hmm.
know, to me, no offense to Tennessee, this OC job looks a lot better than the Tennessee job.
I agree to that point on Dable, but I just think with the past history that he had here and all that type of stuff, I felt like he probably felt some sour grapes that they picked Joe Brady over him. I think Dable probably expected to get this job, at least from his perspective, in my opinion. Who knows if things go differently? He probably could have eventually had this job if he chose not to take the Giants job, or if we just decided to promote him a few years ago, which was a popular sentiment. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they had them both in for interviews, and the Bills decided to go with Joe Brady, and Josh was in on that decision, in my opinion. You know, and he picked Joe Brady over Brian Dable too. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was expecting more of a shot at Dable. I've been saying the whole time I felt Dable was going to get this job, but you know, it ended up being Joe Brady, and I think there was a lot of reasons for that.
Right. Yeah, I think it goes down to when you have someone that you're familiar with who's been around your team and stuff like that, and like you said, especially it's like what is this near year 9? Excuse me. Is this year 9? I think coming up for Allen.
Mhm.
Maybe that's something where they took into consideration, like, I mean, Allen's great. He'll work in any offense, but maybe the last thing we want to do is change his offense right now.
Right.
Maybe we should just try to simplify everything we can as much as we can. I think the coordinators, is a good thing to talk about. I think that's going to really determine, how much people really like this hire and whatnot. If you're an offensive coordinator coming in here, you already know you're not calling the plays. So maybe that's a lot less attractive for a lot of people.
Hmm.
If they can go somewhere and call plays. But I got to listen to some, not all, of the press conference from Joe Brady. I definitely can say I liked a lot of what he had to say. Um, Seems like he really is just ready to go to work and do this and get the Bills over the hump and whatnot. And it's something where it's like the more I listened to that and heard some things from him and some of the players and stuff, everyone seems to be behind it like 100%. So
Right.
it's like, if you got your most important guy and your quarterback, Josh Allen, who's all behind us, it's like, maybe we should be like, okay, let's give it a try first and see how it works out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's tough to lose the press conference, especially when you're being introduced as a coach. Like for example, I felt Rex Ryan hit his out of the park, and
Mhm.
we know how that ended up. But I will say I don't really think it counts for a lot, but after the way the press conference went, after we fired McDermott, it was nice to see him, you know what I mean, play the right notes during the press
Right.
conference. I felt he he was very genuine. You know what I mean? He said some cliche stuff. Said some really good stuff as well. I like that he thanked McDermott. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
I
cool.
felt that was a real class move by him. And but it did sound like he was going to be his own man. You know what I mean? And he wasn't just going to keep things status quo. He knows that we want to get over the hump, and he's going to have to do some things different for us to do that. So I liked what he said in the press conference. Maybe feel a little better about it. You know, he didn't go up there and you know what I mean, lay an egg. Um, I didn't like how people were like, "Oh, he was nervous up there from public speaking." It's like, yeah, it's just like it's his first head coaching job. He's real excited. You know, it's there's a
Yeah,
lot of
you would think, nerves are going to be expected.
yeah,
So
and it's not like it's the same thing for him. Like, oh, how's he going to speak in front of a team? Like he's spoken in front of teams. You know what I mean? For how long now? You know, what I mean? He's been in a locker room and stuff like that. I'm sure he's gonna figure that out. So that is zero concern to me. I think he was more so because he was really emotional because I was hearing stories that when he was first like an intern at like a college or something like that, he was like the guy like grabbing coffee, doing like whatever at that point
mm,
just to be able to be in the building. So this is someone that's
gotcha.
come a really long way, and you definitely have to respect that no matter what from where he came from to get to this point.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of piggyback off of what I was saying earlier, what you were saying earlier, if they hire the guys, the right guys, it all makes this worth it. But I mean, there's a lot more than just um, the OC and the DC that needs to be filled. They got some stuff written out. I mean, I know we, lost our defensive backs coach. I think we just lost our O line, but then they signed the guy from Pittsburgh. I think it was today.
Yeah, that was huge.
Um, what else did I see today? Was it our linebackers coach or something like that? There's a lot of position coaches that are going elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see how this stuff is filled out. I know the connection with the guy coming from Pittsburgh was him and Brady coached together in Carolina.
Mhm.
So I know there's some familiar, you know, stuff with them. But I think the two things we're wondering probably defensive coordinator more than offensive coordinator.
Yes, 100%. Like, if I'm gonna say this point blank, if he knocks defensive coordinator out of the park here, all is forgiven. I'll forget that whole press conference. I'll forget even the post that I posted on about Brady with my initial reaction, saying that I thought he was basically kind of a puppet. If they get an actual good defensive coordinator in here, then I'll be pumped for next season. I'll be wanting next season to start right now.
Right. Yeah, I got some things listed down. So I got a list. Let me know like three people who are like, if you could have it, who are your guys that you would want for the Bills defensive coordinator?
Oh, there's only one guy I want,
There's only one guy. Who's the one guy?
Jim Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz. So for those that don't know, Schwartz was our defensive coordinator, what, years ago. Um, Probably one of the better defenses the Bills have had,
Yes,
with Jim Schwartz. Now he's still under contract, so potentially, a pick might have to be given up
it
to
worth it.
go get him. But what do you think? What do you think realistically is the price of Cleveland's like? Hey, we're not just going to let him go do whatever and not get a pick out of it. What do you think like a realistic pick would be for him?
You think I'm crazy, but I would give up a second round pick for him.
Second round pick.
Yes, you do whatever it takes to get Jim Schwartz. Anything short of a first round pick, or whatever, If you have to, if tampering only costs, also too, if tampering only costs you a second round pick, you do whatever it takes. Okay, you get Jim Schwartz on the phone right now. You offer him head coach money, full control of the defense, anything that he wants. You bring Jim Schwartz to Buffalo. He makes total sense. You don't have to get out of a 4-3 defense. He'll bring more aggression to the defense. He has some familiarity here too. I mean, it it is the move that has to be made. You get Jim Schwartz in Buffalo. I think the Bills win the Super Bowl next year. Full confidence. He will get this unit to where it needs to be. We will be a top 5 unit under Jim Schwartz next year. Make it
Wow,
happen.
that's a big prediction, bold prediction there.
Oh, it is a bold prediction. They have to like get it done. Do they need me to call him?
They might. If you got his contact information, they might need you to
I'll call
reach out. I mean, hey, it's not too far of a drive.
him.
can go pick him up.
Be like, listen, man, And whatever Pagula has to do too. I don't know if he'll have sour grapes from us picking Rex over him back in 2015 or whatever year it was. But if you're Pagula, you beg his forgiveness.
So the one thing I do wonder is if does he want to come here? I mean, you got to think there's only one head coach job available, right? Is there one or two?
Uh
Two.
Cardinals, I think, is still available as of now.
So Cardinals and Raiders.
Yes.
Okay, so there's two. So if he doesn't get one of those, maybe his whole thing was like, "Hey, I want to be a head coach," right? And rightfully so.
Hmm.
Now, if he doesn't, you know, that's the thing. I wonder if the Bills are reaching out and they're like, "Hey, we want to bring you in to be the defensive coordinator and everything you said," but maybe he's like, "Hey, I'm still got my hopes up. There's two teams left. You know, maybe wait it out and see." Or, you know, does he just take the possibility like, "Hey, I have this for sure thing right here in Buffalo." Like you said, like, is there any sour grapes or anything like that? Or is he kind of like, "Hey, man, like, I know how this team is. This team is good. We'll get some more pieces for it." And like you said, like, I'm confident too. It'd be one heck of a group.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he gets a head coaching job, in my opinion, because it looks like the Raiders have their sights set on Kubiak, and I don't see him getting the Cardinals job as well. I also think that's another reason why he's just PO'd at Cleveland right now because because he's getting older now, and I think he felt this was his last chance to get a head coaching job. So I think he's smart enough to know that he probably won't get one, at least out of the remaining jobs open. It's definitely a tricky situation with his contract, but I think he's worth waiting on.
Right. So I'm going to throw two more names at you.
Okay.
Um, was it Jim Leonard,
Yep.
another former guy that was this guy actually played for the Bills. Is the was he the pass game coordinator? I think he is
Yeah, and the
on
Broncos.
the
Yeah.
Broncos. Um, has some familiar, insight with the Bills from playing wise. He also, I think he interviewed already once or twice with the Ravens, a team that he played for as well.
Yep. Did the Chargers take a defensive coordinator now too? I know he was in the running for that as
He
well.
was in the running, but I think the Chargers grabbed somebody, or
Okay.
they were very close. Um, but what's the guy say? Schwartz is just off the table.
Hmm.
What do you think about a guy like Leonard?
I like Jim Leonard. Don't get me wrong. I just have a concern that I think he's a Rex Ryan guy, and he will want to bring a 3-4 defense here. I
Mhm.
think we would need too big of a roster overhaul to go to a 3-4 defense. So that's the only reason why I'm not really in on Jim Leonard. I really liked him as a player. I remember him. I think he can be a good defensive coordinator. I just don't know if that's here.
Gotcha. So here's another guy. You know, so it was Leonard, Schwartz, not in any particular order. Who I would rather have, but this last guy is a guy that's really been growing on me lately. Um, Somebody I definitely like his work, from coaching prior, but that's Raheem Morris.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like he would be such a good fit here. We saw how tough it was to play against Atlanta this past year and what he did to the offense, and not even just against us. I mean, it's real impressive when you can shut down one of the best offenses and one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And I heard something on the radio today. A guy actually said that he was on vacation just recently before the news came out that McDermott was fired. Runs into Raheem Morris on vacation, tells him how much of a Bills fan he is, says, "Hey, what was like the key to stopping Josh Allen and the Bills? How'd you do it?" And he said, "Well, we didn't know if it was going to work, but he said we were kind of just throwing stuff out there." He said we were trying to do as many disguise blitzes and stuff like that as we can. And he said the key was they wanted to stay away from Deion Dawkins. They wanted to go to the other side where Osiris Torrance is, and they said they would stack that line of scrimmage, and every time it was a different guy that would, drop back, that would blitz, do this or do that. And
Hmm.
he even said, he goes, "This is just what we wanted to try to do." He's like, "We didn't know if it was going to work."
Hmm.
And obviously, if the result of the game, it definitely worked. But that's a guy I feel like, great worth ethic. Seems like a great dude in general, but just as a coach, his standpoint, I feel like he's very just smart. And I feel like, a team like us where I think our defense is, we have some older guys, but I feel like it's going to be more just kind of, maybe addressing the draft, getting some guys. We definitely need a guy who can just straight up just rush the passer.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's kind of been like the thing we've been missing forever. It's just some guy who can just, you can line up four, you don't have to blitz, and you can just get pressure on the quarterback. But I feel like a guy like Morris is somebody where if we don't get Schwartz, I mean, I'll sign up for Morris whenever.
I wouldn't hate Raheem Morris. He's a 4-3 guy too. Am I correct in that assumption, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So if he's a 4-3,
I'm trying to remember what Atlanta was running, but I can't remember offhand.
I'm pretty sure he's a 4-3 guy. I could be wrong on that. I'm not really familiar with Raheem Morris's work, but I do like that he was a head coach, even though he kind of failed as a head coach. But still, you like having someone with that experience. I would like a defensive coordinator with head coaching experience, even if it didn't go well. So yeah, I would be completely fine with Raheem Morris on the surface of it for sure.
Yeah, honestly, like one of those three guys, I feel like would be great to be here. Like you said, we don't know about Leonard because it might switch up the whole defense and whatnot. But for all we know, they could be looking elsewhere. Um, we have no idea what's going on, like what Joe Brady wants. He did say something cool though that I thought when he said, "I don't want a bunch of guys that think like Joe Brady though that are
Hmm.
coaching," because he said if we have that, he said it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
That you need guys that can come in and can think differently and give you different ideas and whatnot. And he said that's going to be a key way to getting a lot of wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would definitely be nice. I want to see a defensive coordinator. Like, would be nice to see someone come out of left field. I was another name I was thinking about a little bit was maybe I feel it's a little off the radar is Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, obviously he didn't coach last season. You know what I mean? So I feel he's a little bit off the radar, but he's a guy with head coaching experience as well. And I former player, he's been in winning locker rooms. He's a guy where I think the players really liked him in on the Raiders, even though
Oh,
things
definitely.
so I don't even though things didn't really go well, like someone like Max Crosby swears by him, So I think that's someone that I can get behind as well. Um, like I would really, really, really like someone that was a former head coach as defensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I can definitely see that because it's like that experience. I feel like can set yourself aside from somebody else. Not
Hmm.
saying that someone who wasn't a head coach isn't going to have like the success and whatnot. But yeah, I would be more comfortable knowing that one of these guys had prior experience being a head coach. What do you think about the offensive side? Maybe I was saying earlier, maybe it's not that like much of a sexy job because they don't have the play calling ability, but maybe it still is because you have Josh Allen who just won the MVP last year. You have James Cook who won the Russian title. You got a good offensive line. You got young receivers too. I feel like they still need to address receiver. I feel like in the draft and free agency, but to me, I'm worried about more on the defensive side. What's a name or two you like though for offensive coordinator?
I do think offensive care still. I don't think it's as important as defensive coordinator, like you said. But having another smart person in the room doesn't hurt. And we heck, it could be something that could be very fruitful for a guy that wants to be a head coach. I mean, look at that Udinsky guy that's never called plays, and was very close to being a head coach. He was getting a lot of buzz. I guarantee he's a head coach in the next few cycles here.
Right.
So I do think it's still an enticing job for someone. A name that came up in mind a little bit today for me was Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if it happens. I don't know if him and Joe Brady do have a good relationship at all. But that was one name I kind of want to keep my eye on. I think that'd be pretty cool. Another one would be Davis Webb.
Hmm.
Great relationship with Josh Allen. Obviously, he used to be. I think he was here as our quarterbacks coach before. Um, so that's another name I wouldn't mind as well. I think those are I think Davis Webb's probably more likely, but I've seen that maybe he might get the Denver OC job as well.
Yeah.
But those are two names for me. How about you?
Yeah, Davis Webb definitely would be up there for me. Like you said, he's been here, he's played here. I mean, he was what was he, like our second or third, maybe the emergency quarterback at one point. I know him and Josh Allen are really good friends. there's a lot of familiar faces with with Davis Webb, excuse me, being around. I think that's something that would be be a good fit for him. Maybe even not calling the plays. I know he doesn't call the plays in Denver because he's what is he the pass game coordinator on the offensive side.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe coming in here and just him picking Joe Brady's brain and giving him more ideas and stuff like that. I mean, when you get a guy like Joe Brady who he's been the offensive coordinator, he knows Allen, and then you bring in another guy who's worked with Allen as well. You put both of them together, I feel like that's such a great matchup.
Hmm.
um yeah, other than that, I haven't really thought about the offensive coordinator um side of things. I wonder if it's like you said, I wonder if Webb kind of takes that OC spot now that it's open. Um, but the Broncos, man, I don't know if you on a side note, I don't know if you heard about the thing with Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Oh, yeah, it's been a whole mess, and
Yeah, maybe for all we know, Davis Webb doesn't even want to be there. So
yeah, that's something I was gonna bring up, but I felt like I was rambling on there for a little
no,
bit.
you're good, you're good. But yeah,
But another thing
I
too,
feel like that would probably be my top guy though.
but yeah, another thing too, the Denver situation. I mean, like him just throwing that. Well, I think the OC who didn't even call plays, that Lombardi guy under the bus or whatever. I mean, like, how does that look if you're Davis Webb? You know what I mean? Am I this guy's
Right.
next fall guy? So I've always said Sean. You know how I feel about Sean Payton. I think he's a huge d bag. He showed it again. Even though I wasn't happy with the Patriots winning, I was really happy to see Sean Payton lose. So that was my consolation prize for that.
So you gave your bold prediction about, hey, do whatever it takes to get Jim Schwartz. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I feel like, if you gave a bold prediction, I think it's only right if I give one.
Hmm.
So my bold prediction is going to be, we're just talking about the offense. My bold prediction is going to be in the wide receiver group.
Okay.
And my bold prediction is be on the lookout for a guy like a AJ Brown, a D Hop, a Devontae Adams. Be on the lookout for a veteran guy. Not saying it's going to work the best if you get DeAndre Hopkins here. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think that Joe Brady is going to want that veteran guy who's been around and whatever to come in. I feel like because our wide receivers, that's a young group. I mean, besides Brandon Cooks, and hey, for all we know, maybe that move is bringing Brandon Cooks back.
Hmm.
Like, I just feel like you know when especially AJ Brown's name's been on the trade block forever. I feel like that type of guy is going to be someone that's in this building that makes the 53. That's going to be on this roster because I feel like in a way that's what they quote unquote kind of lack as well. I mean, you need the production.
Hmm.
That's what it is. In what do we lack the most? The big plays.
Yep.
So I feel like a guy like that could really help a guy like Keon Coleman as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a guy that's like I don't want to say towards the end of his career, but like obviously not someone who's been in there for 2 years. You know, um, but I'm all for it. You want to bring Devontae Adams here? Let me know. We can go pick him up after we pick Schwartz up. So
um, I have the only name I have concerns about really is AJ Brown. I just he seems like a diva. Maybe it's just that situation in Philly. I feel like no one likes a head coach.
yeah,
It may be number two D bag in the league in terms of coach behind Sean Payton. He's definitely giving him a run for his money, so it could be that sort of situation there. But yeah, I definitely could see them getting a more established receiver. I think we definitely could use that in the room. Someone that you can look at and say like, "Hey, that's the leader of that group." Even if that guy isn't the best in the group anymore, even
right,
someone like D Hop might help out the room, even though it's not someone that maybe might not bring all the explosive plays out. But
hmm
I mean, I hate to bring this up as example because it worked against us, but you saw the one game when they beat us, Diggs before the game of the team and stuff like that, and getting the guys all pumped up. I feel like our receiver room could use that guy in there, so it would be
yeah,
very.
for sure. I mean, hey, if we want to bring Diggs back, I'm all for that too.
I mean, I don't know if anyone will be getting him after he catches that case.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no. As far as I feel like that's what we really need. I mean, hey man, Diggs came here and established himself as one of the best receivers in Bills history in 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I feel like that could be a huge, huge success to this offense. But like I said, I'm more focused on like the defensive side for right now.
Mhm.
Getting that pass rusher, and I'm sure they'll fill out, like linebacker, and add to the secondary as well. But yeah, I mean, it sucks obviously how the season ended, but I feel like this has given us something. As much as I didn't want to see McDermott gone, or at least I didn't want to see him gone like this. It's so unfortunate, but in a way, it's been giving us something to to talk about, and keep things going. And next thing you know, we're going to end up having free agency and the draft. I mean, the combine will be here soon, so
Yeah. It makes the off season. It makes it definitely more, more something to watch this year. I feel like, it's not
mhm,
old story, whether it's for good or this could end up backfiring. We even said that when they fired McDermott, but it's
right.
definitely gonna be more exciting. I felt like something had to change. You couldn't come back next year and do the same exact thing. Even though when
Mhm,
I first fired McDermott, I was more so upset, but I started becoming more resigned to the fact that, like, hey, he's had all these chances, whether you want to blame this year on him or not. He's had a lot of shots at it, and it
oh,
just
for sure,
hasn't worked out for whatever reason. I think he's still a great man and great coach, but hopefully that this is the move that gets us over the hump. But if not, you can't say we didn't try something.
for sure, for sure. So, we've been going at it for just over a half hour. It's been flowing, so
Yeah, it's been
it's
flowing
been
good.
it's been good. So, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up?
Go Seahawks.
Go Seahawks. The Sabres are up 3-1 at the end of the second period, so that's
Uh,
good.
yeah, let's go. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the first period before we hopped on.
I have that on in the background.
Yeah, I was I saw that. But yeah, we'll see. We're gonna wrap things up here. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit of Sabers. Obviously we talked a lot about the head coaching thing. I think what we might do something else when we hire the whole staff. Maybe we'll do like an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator show.
Right.
We'll talk about maybe like the fallout of that. We'll also have stuff for the off season as well, of course, free agency. Maybe we'll really get locked into the draft this year. Maybe we'll really come up with takes for that, talking about maybe guys we like. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll
Mhm.
both look at stuff. You know what I mean? Blindly, and maybe come on here and be like, oh yeah, I like this guy. Like, you know what I mean? So I think
Right.
a lot of fun as well.
For sure.
But until next time, I appreciate everyone that watched this episode. Before you leave, hit that subscribe button. But until
Hit
next
it.
time. Peace.